Hello, everybody, and welcome to Capsule Cast. Today, we're going to be talking about the Buujins. I'm your host, Destiny, and with my here I have my co-host Donut,
Hello, everyone.
and here we have the Buujins coach DoorGuard.
What's going on, guys?
And and with that, you guys just want to get started?
Let's do it.
I'm game.
All right, so here we got the lovely Buujins banner,
hmm
and there's any history you want to talk about here, DoorGuard?
Well, Buujins is a very historical team, starting out as the Boos in season 1, way back when, and after season 10, transforming to Buujins for the 2020 season. So, technicality, we're a new team that started last season, as a lot of
Yep.
people would say, and in that season we got third place. So, previous, if you look at Boos, they were a one-time bowl winner in season 2. So, got a little bit of history, nothing too crazy though.
For sure.
Mm-hmm.
What drew you to the Buujins? Like, what character? What is the theme itself?
I mean, just really all the forms of Boo. Super
hmm
Boo has always been a favorite, but obviously Kid Boo always seen as like a chaotic powerhouse. Evil Boo is just Super Boo before gaining power, and Majin Boo is the other half. So it's really all variations of the same character. The easiest team to be like, I like that singular character besides the Gohans. So it was a
Sure. Yep.
very easy time to come in, though we have our outsiders and characters like Majub. And now that we're Buujins, we have access to characters like Deborah, Majin Vegeta, Spopovich,
hmm
and Pickle.
Pickle. Nice. We love him. Maybe
Yeah.
sometimes.
But as an outsider, Donut, how would you feel about why people want to go to Buujins?
What to go to Buujins? Well, they have a very strong team, right? They have a lot of have a lot of high ceilings, right? Very low. Um, like the floors are high and the ceilings are higher, type of thing, right? You have so many characters like Kid Buu who can pop off. I remember he had the power body stint back in season 6, I believe, where he was just popping off. You have Evil Buu from last year. Super Buu's just a pink 16 basically. It's they have such a stacked lineup, right? So minus the raisin. So we'll get to him later.
Which is funny because for being such a stacked lineup, we don't get elites very often. It
Yeah, it's very
used to
odd, right?
be back in the day with Power Body Kid Buu, he had a lot easier time on a melee
hmm
Power Body, but since Power Body's gone away, it's been not necessarily like impossible, but a lot lower. It's seemed to
Yeah,
be.
But you guys have definitely seemed to be a team that has at least everyone doing their 40K when needed.
yeah,
And
yeah. From last season, they had everyone doing 40k minimum.
yeah,
Yeah, I'd say a big part of our philosophy on the Buujins isn't necessarily to make god tier characters, as it is to make sure everybody does the same thing week in, week out. So, yeah, maybe their build will limit them to not be able to go super pop off, but it eliminates the lower floor of them doing really bad by building around, making them always do around the same. So, in
Sure.
some aspects, it means if if a team's other character starts really going hard and we go down a character, it's a lot harder to come back. But it's
Of course.
designed to make that very low possibility, though not an impossibility.
Yeah.
very hard to deal with. But with that, if either you two have nothing else to really say, shall we move on?
Well, let me
Let's do it.
just clarify the theme real quick. We didn't super
Sure,
go
we'll
over
talk about
that,
that. Yeah.
but
Yeah.
booze used to be just any form of the booze, and Buujins was we fused with Majins because both teams had very limited pools, and
Mhm.
thus now we're any character that's basically in creation or related to Bobbity and the booze. So since booze were made by Bobbity, there are Majins and such and so forth. The reason we're not just called Majins is being that um, the majority of the supporters, I myself, Scuddy, the old coach, um, Vive, one of our new supporters, and a few others were there for booze. And most of the
Mhm.
Majins supporters, we still have a few, but most of them have kind of scattered around, or there weren't very many, and that's why the teams got fused. So there's been a lots of stuff with that. But that's the hints for the name. I know some people have asked why not just call them Majins, and that's the history of that at least.
Mhm.
You know, I will say Buujins does roll off the tongue really well. You just say it a couple times.
True.
But with that, shall we move on?
Let's do it.
I'm ready.
First chapter.
All right. So here we got looks to be the captain of the team. It's Kid Buu. He has some pros, fast melee, strong B2, great ult, planet bursting ult. Looks fun. His cons here, he loves to spam his rush. He has bad B1s and he's a volatile character. So DoorGuard, how do you think about your captain here, Kid Buu?
I think being called Kid Buu describes him perfectly. Technically, he's thousands of years old, so he's not actually a kid, but he certainly acts like one. He does. That's why the volatile character point describes him quite well. There's times where he goes on a complete rampage, and sometimes where he's a temper tantrum and doesn't do nearly enough. But overall, he's always been a very strong character, and as we're seeing this season with Birder, when you have a character that attacks very fast, it becomes very difficult to kind of knock him away, and mix in that his supers, his B2s, just deal so much damage and just seem to always connect when he tries. It's quite well, though. He is a character last season who had like a 50% hit rate due to throwing tons and tons and tons of B2s but not hitting. Rushes not counting as hitting if they get dodged or such, which everybody seems to do nowadays. And Kamehameha is cool and all, but when they charge it too long, it just fires in a random direction. So certainly a hard time.
And then he seemed to throw out quite a lot of ults last season, but most of them would always get nicked by the little tiniest piece of the map and just not able to hit.
Yeah, that's always been a struggle, especially with him not having Blast 1's, sleep being disabled so that we can have Eternal Life on the team, and having instantaneous transmission, which at least Destiny here knows how ineffectual that is on really doing anything on the map. It just teleports you next to the opponent, which doesn't exactly do anything because it doesn't dodge, it just puts you next to them. So makes his ult spamming quite hard, so he has to come in and he's got to hit it, and yeah, sometimes it clips a little corner of the map and just eats that, so can be frustrating. Donut, you've certainly had more than a few interesting times trying to come up to this man.
Oh yeah, he's always a fun character to prep for. Cause when I think Buujins, I think Kid Buu, right? Just from the power body thing, he had such a impact that it just kind of stuck with me. And his kit is very strong, just on paper, but he has the B2 with rushes. But at the very worst, he will either lose key for a character, right, with the block, or he will get into a clash and potentially win, right? But when I plan for him, it's a matter of who do I put that who can just spam him down, right? And that's obviously my version of Kid Buu being Cell, or it's 17, right? And now it doesn't always work out, obviously, right? But it's I think what helps me in regards to him is I can't get that like stun block type thing going on because we're androids, right? And it helps a lot other than itself. But for 17, like he can't get stun blocked, or I'd be able to bust him down over time. But I have characters who are also very bad matchups, like 19, like Super 17. That's really bad for them, right? So it's a matter of trying to plan for where Kid Buu can be in the lineup, since he can be in basically almost any spot, mainly apart from first, I believe. I don't think you ever started him.
Not this last season, but in previous seasons, we have put Righteous Fighting Spirit on him and started him to mess with opponents. So, while not ideal due to how powerful his ult is, it is certainly a possibility. And we have some free combo masters, so we could also just throw him out front with a little extra melee damage as well, and just say, hey, go beat on some people. So, it is certainly still there as a potential, but that ult is just so, any of the giant orb ults, just look at Cold Kingdom, they love theirs, and there's a lot of characters in the league that actually have them. They just love to set them up, so there's not really a reason not to have Savior on him, which does push him further back into the lineup, though sometimes only to the second spot.
True, yeah, that's all you need, right?
Yeah, it must feel nice to have a giant orb ult.
Yeah, Destiny, tell us about how you love them rush ults,
Yeah.
They do a lot for you.
Junior, you're doing good. Yeah, you're fine.
All of my rush ults hit all the time. Just look at them. Wait, I don't have it. Oh, I guess I have one
They
now.
don't. You have one, yeah.
You have one now, but
Yes.
But we'll say I think his melee is actually almost as fast as Birder's, or as fast.
I I mean, it might be as fast, but it certainly doesn't hit the same amount of times.
Yeah.
Birders
Yeah.
does like multi-hits, but it starts off super fast, and I think Kid
Mm,
Buu certainly is in that same boat of it at least starts fast, and they tend to chain pretty quick. But yeah, I don't think anybody can be declared as quick as Birders for a reason.
Yeah, Bud has such a fast melee combo.
yeah, trying to prepare for this man is a nightmare unless you either have a map that's really bad for his ult, or just you can burst him down. But yeah, since kind of said everything we need to say about Kid Buu, you guys just want to go on to the next character?
Yeah, I think
I'm
Kid
game.
Buu's
Yeah.
put his case out there for why he's, both a kid and not a kid.
And then, all right, on to the next character. We got Evil Boo, the evilest man of the team, the Gray Man, one of Tony's favorites.
The old man.
Old man.
He got some pros. He got a strong B2 with a super explosive wave ultimate. That's really great. And he's a great all-rounder. Loves his defense, but for his cons, he's not part of the pink squad. Unfortunate, but hey, he's the old man for a reason. Got bad B1s, and he's basically required on defense +2 for him to work. So yeah.
He's certainly been a problem child from time to time. Whenever he gets off, it's funny, as long as he has defense +2 and latent, he seems to just do stuff, but you take either of those away, one or both, and he just like changes his characteristics. His AI does something completely different. Everything does completely different. It doesn't matter what you replace him with. He just immediately is mad. It's like the gray tone of his skin is because the pink became so dense it became defense itself. So he wants that symbolized in his build. But yeah, he's been a really consistent one. He's always been one of our top members. He basically is almost number 9 or number 10 in the season every year, which is funny because like stat wise he's not really above especially the Super Buu forms and Kid Buu, and he's pretty much just a skinnier Majin Buu, but yet he's always so much further ahead than all of them. So puts his utility to great use. Super Kamehameha, Flame Shower Breath, and of course just Super Explosive Wave is great. But those other ones, his blast ones, they've been frustrating. Kyokusin is stun. It's okay. It's kind of slow. Does the job. But he also just has Shower Breath, which is like his B2, but smaller, more compact, and only blocks beams that last half a millisecond. Otherwise, they just go through it. So I don't know what to do. I want it disabled. The reason I have, you can see the image here in the bottom corner of him blowing is because the B2 version's super great. It's 2 bars and it's 8K, but the B1 version is just... I get it. It's technically he's the main character who used it, because that's how he became Super Buu, but hot damn. I
can definitely tell you I either want it changed or not being used. Janemba. Oh no.
Yeah, Janemba has Mystic Breath. Slightly bigger version, but pretty much the exact same in use and utility.
Pretty much the exact same thing. But Donna, as an outsider's perspective, what's your opinion on Evil Buu? What do you do to try to prepare for this man?
Well, he's obviously a very strong character. He has no real downside to his kit. Yes, you have the B1s, but let's be honest, that's not as impactful as B2 would be, or the ults. And he's pigeonholed onto one type of build, but he does that build very well. Right? As we saw last season, he was definitely one of the characters you kind of knew would be there. And you don't necessarily plan around him, but you can't disregard him, right? So he'll be very similar to like Tien from Earth Defenders, right? He'll come in, he'll do his 40k plus, right? And he'll do his job and then some, right? And he has a very solid kit. So the way I looked about going about him is taking him out with his melee. His melee is kind of wonky, I think, for Evil Buu, a little bit out there in comparison to his B2 game. So I like to put Cell up there, right? Or shockingly, Teen was able to take him last season. So I don't think that's gonna happen this season, but hey, it's an option, I guess.
I think you pointed out a big part is when you go into a defense build, you're locking yourself off damage-wise, so it kind of limits. It means you're more susceptible to burst, and that's not always true. Obviously, we've seen both ways happen, because you could also say the defense means the burst doesn't do enough.
Yeah.
But it also, if they're just getting burst, their kit feels kind of bad, and you're like, man, I hate that like half his build's meant to keep him alive, and he's just dying anyways.
Yeah, it's like even at the point of the B2, let's say you have 17s out there, right? So oh, he did 9k with a B2 instead of 12k. Well, he still did 9k with a B2. That's almost a full bar, right? That's still not bad. You'll take it. So it's like a mitigation of damages, but doesn't like delete that game plan entirely.
Yeah, for sure. It's an interesting area to be in as a defensive style character such as Evil Boo, but his all-rounder nature means that he kind of combats everything well, kind of a jack of all trades, master of none, but at the same time it's gone to show that he's able to do it quite well, and he's probably one of the more notorious, I think, jack of all trades, because he is able to hold a 50 to 60k average most of the time, and as said, he tends to hold the number 10 or 9 spot in the top 10 of the league, almost purely off of just being consistent. Maybe not pop off, but consistent. So he does what he needs to do for sure. Certainly, I think a character just about every team would like to have is someone who just is there and does his thing, and that's it.
Definitely made some cases for Evil Boo here, and yeah, all-around character. Trying to prepare for him sucks sometimes when you just don't really have the counter for hit this man. But shall we get moving on?
Let's do it.
Yeah, I'll just say, even though he's super explosive wave ult, we have multiple of those, so he doesn't get saviors. You never know where he'll be. Might even be in your lineup.
At least this man can use his at more than just one bar.
For sure. Certainly can be an interesting dilemma.
But moving on, we're getting to a recently acquired character again, and one of DoorGuard's favorites, Gohan Boo, Super Boo Gohan Absorbed, or Gohan Boo. Pros, he's strong melee, strong B2, good B1s, DoorGuard's favorite, and I think you forgot to add, he got that magnificent chin. But for his cons, he has a terrible ultimate, he's a volatile character like Kid Boo, and he has a horrid costume too. Man, I don't even want to talk about those purple pants. They just don't add up with his B. But DoorGuard, what do you want to talk about your main man here, the chin himself, Gohan Boo?
Well, you forgot one of the more important parts is he has a nice nickname known throughout the league as Buujins. So he has all of his stuff going in right there. Yeah, funny enough, we had Super Boo for seasons, and back when there was Majins and Boos, the forms were all split up, but now they're all into one character, so we were able to pick just Buujins as the form. And yeah, this is the only form that has like a true defined chin. Not to say the others don't, but this, I don't know, when you look at it, there's a chin line, but it's like inside the neck, so it's not right, for sure.
Buujins definitely does not have a chin.
Depending on the angle, but they can. Yeah, his ult is is Gotank's ult, which is the Spirit Kamikaze attack, and you'd think, oh, that's not bad, and it does like 20,000 damage. The issue is they fly straight down and then shoot up, which means unless he's in the air, they immediately hit the ground and explode. So even if he does little jump back ult, it'll never hit. It just physically can't hit because that jump back puts him too far away, mixed in with the fact that it's just, yeah, it's a mess. It's a huge mess.
Also, doesn't it like leave him basically wide open like King Vegeta's
Yeah, because he stands there pointing the whole time. So he's just like, yeah, it gets real bad. It's certainly not a pleasant kind of thing, but everything else is good. He's our only character that has like super usable blast ones. He has I believe it's high tension, which gains him key and melee, as well as 2 bars of just Rocky, and then after image. So not the best, but after image does its job. It's like 2 blast stocks, gives him 30 seconds to just not get hit, and he dodges it automatically. And having super
that over Kaiko-san.
Yeah, for sure. Nice to have a character who doesn't have a stun, basically. As well as the fact that he has Super Kamehameha, as well as Chocolate Beam, which is just... Chocolate Beam is just a very unique and interesting B2 in that it's a beam, but if it hits, it goes into a cutscene. It's one of the few non-ult style ones, so it's quite a lot, actually. But yeah, he's looking to be a melee powerhouse, kind of all-rounder to a smaller degree, but Super Boo being just the best boy, this being just him but stronger. He's the strongest. He's looking to have a hopefully great season, but unfortunately, seems like for the performances where he pops off and goes full sell, there's also a Goldo performance hidden in there, so not quite sure yet how consistent he'll be, but he's looking to at least throw in some pretty meaty hooks. What are you thinking, Donut? This is his first season in a little bit.
Yeah,
Obviously, things are quite different now.
Yeah, with Buujins, I'm curious to see how different it will be in comparison to what Super Boo did last year. Because last year you just put Super Boo first, and it was like, well, do you have an answer for that? And most teams did not have an answer for it, which gave you that lead, which goes to your point, saying if you got behind, you stayed behind. But due to Super Boo and how dominant his melee game was, you didn't really get behind too often. At least to a substantial margin, right? But I'm very curious to see how Super Boo will stack up. I don't think he's as reliant on the melee game. He's more all-rounder with the I think he has Chocolate Beam now, right? Something like that.
He always had Chocolate Beam. He just dropped Genocide Ass for Super Kamehameha.
And also he decides to use his Chocolate Beam more in this form.
Yeah. And then he has the the Genocide Blast from Super Boo is just awful. Right? Just not good at all.
It interrupts. It doesn't do a lot of damage, but it like almost guarantees interrupts your opponent from doing stuff. But it's certainly nicer to have something that does damage.
Yeah, does the actual damage more than like 2k, 2-3k. It's like, come on.
That also doesn't leave him incredibly open.
True. Yeah. So I'm very curious to see how well he does. I think he'll definitely be a 45k character this year. I'm thinking so. I see him actually making All-Stars as well.
That is the dream, for sure.
I will say that I do think this man, if anyone else other than Kid Boo would be your elite, since you guys formed into the Buujins, Power Buddy got taken off, I think this man could be your elite. He basically has the stats needed to contend with people like Cell, like Janemba, but he's just those Goldo performances, man. If he just doesn't do well, it kind of just sucks for the team.
Yeah, I think he's going to have a lot. Obviously, I'm very much hoping he'll do a lot, especially when his first form managed to do more than a few 60k performances throughout the whole season, especially in playoffs. So, being as he is nothing but kind of shed some of the issues that he had, such as the bad blast ones and only having Vice Shout in base form and the bad B2. And while he still has a bad ult, it's not much different in all honesty. Still both basically never going to be seen, though this one he has used it. At least it doesn't kill himself.
I will say though, the explosion ult Super Boo had, when it killed a character and it was fun to see, it was a sight to behold.
Yeah, the rare occasions he actually committed to using it,
and
certainly brought out some stuff. But just from this offseason, he's looking like he'll be a contender, hopefully, for sure on my mind. But obviously, you never know when you get into the league and what nonsense comes about.
Of course.
Yep. Just going off of what we already said, Super Boo was a fantastic melee character, and this Super Boo form is seeming to be a maybe not so better melee character because it's not just all melee, but the more all-arounder that Super Boo needed to be.
Yeah, it's funny. You look at his first form Super Boo is basically melee aficionado. Then you go to Super Boo with Piccolo and Buujins and Gotenks absorbed, and he becomes this spamming monstrosity. Still only one Blast 1 in Explosive Wave, but like his B2's upgrade so much that it seems like he just needs to sit there and spam with Galactic Donut
and then get the Buujin, more all-rounder.
Yeah, then you get to Buujin, which kind of takes both of their things. However, I wish he kind of kept the ult of our other guy, but of the previous one, but just kind of how it goes.
And at least make him not able to use it, so he's not too open.
It was a cutscene. It was a cutscene non-charge Super Kamehameha, so just instant fire, full charge Kamehameha. It was very good in the middle form, but it's not quite enough to overtake this form.
Yeah, so I'm assuming that's why you chose this one of the three, right? And you had an option to all three, right? So
at least for this season, we just as we've seen in the characters so far, while Kid Buu could be turned into a melee monster, we're not, at least this upcoming season, that's not the plan. Who knows, maybe next off season when we're trying to shake things up again, Kid Buu gets all the melee Pataras, we go to Buujins so that he gets all the spam Pataras, and we move it around. But everything's
Yeah.
always changing, and at least right now we're settled in and locked into this form, and it's with this form we're going all in on the melee as it has the best of the forms.
Yeah,
Right.
it's not a bad idea. No.
I will say something that really wasn't mentioned but didn't really need to be mentioned is Super Buu base form, because of the game version we have, could not transform, but Buujins could. So if you guys did choose Buujins, you might still have seen this man either way.
Yeah, he can only transform into this form. The base form is due to version errors, coding, something that I don't think science will ever be able to explain. Base Super Buu just cannot transform, at least in the US version, which is the version we use, being the least broken and glitchy version. So
Yeah, I think even with that, you guys Buu base form all that much because he was doing his job.
well, it's mostly that I don't think he would have stayed. If he could transform, I think he might have been a character that had to transform, but being that he can't, he's had the ability to choose forms a little more freely. But yeah, you never know. It's hard to say. Alternate timelines and such. In alternate timelines, Super Buu continues to win. You never know.
But with that, shall we get moving on to the next character?
Let's
I'm good
do it.
with whatever.
Yeah, the first Buu himself, Majin Buu, the pink
OG.
blob, the fat man, the candy man. Got Pros, got strong B2. I think the second one with a super explosive wave ult, and he's a great friend of the champ. Always loves coming in for derp. Just loves
Help
helping
him
his
out.
friend, man.
Yep.
His cons, he got wonky melee. His B2s aren't really that good. He has a large body, husky but not hefty.
It's supposed to be bad B1s because they're just
Yeah.
bad ones there, but
Oh
Mr.
yeah,
Okay.
there's a little,
Not great, but okay.
little, and that could still be said about his B2s.
I don't know about that. It didn't pros as his strong B2s.
True.
That might be strong in damage.
Yeah, he has super Kamehameha as well as the Flame Shower Breath. The exact same. He literally has the exact same moveset as Evil Buu. However, his ult, instead of just called Super Explosive Wave, is called Buu's Anger. So,
He's angry.
yeah, he gets real mad and explodes, and it does big damage. In all honesty, he is a great character, and I think he technically has slightly more stats than Evil Buu. However, his melee isn't like slow, but you know what it means to be wonky, right? It's like they're big haymakers, so it's like they take a little longer. The connection in between the time takes a little bit. He always winds up with everything, so it just takes a little bit of time for everything to go on. And while he can do some decent combos, it does leave a little bit to be lacking because it can get him in trouble because he can't start them as fast as others. But he does his job. Again, he's husky. He's not hefty. He's just got a lot of power stored inside there. That's all.
This man isn't known for his melee. He's known for his B2 game and his ult.
Yep.
Yeah, for sure. And he gets power body when he has max power mode. So you combine that with having light
Savior.
body, he gets ultimate body. So light body and savior means when he enters, if he's not first, then he's just in ultimate body and nothing can really stop him.
Yep.
From what I remember, you guys did change his build with Kid Buu's build actually. So he used to be your Eternal Life user, but now Kid Buu is.
He still has his healing. He has instead of Eternal Life, he has Den Days, and he gains some defense +3 to help offset the lack of healing, but still lets him stick around. So you never know. Some characters do better spamming when they have all stuff to help them spam. Others do better spamming when they just have the abilities to stay alive long enough to spam. So it's a weird world this building and Pataras are.
But Donut, as an outsider, how do you feel about preparing for the Candy Man himself, Majin Buu?
I'm actually more scared about Majin Buu than I am about Evil Buu. And that's weird to say, right? Because Evil Buu is such a good character. I'm very concerned about Majin Buu's initial stepping onto the field, right? Because he has that as Dora said, the haymaker, right? He'll do that bid ultimate, that bid B2, and you just have to take that punch and hope for the best, right? Um, and if he tads, which he's known to do quite often actually, he can possibly get 2 ults off, right? Which should be about 30k damage. And it's like, well, that adds up pretty fast. So, especially when it's not only Majin Buu, you have to take care of all other 3 or 4 characters, right? So it's a struggle on who do you put out in front of him to tank that the explosion, or to find a way to get him out of max power as soon as possible, which would then be for me 19, right? If we need to grab off, but we know how that works out. So with grabs, sometimes it doesn't work out too well. So it's very much of a mental game with me, right? So you try to make it where he doesn't sit on the field the entire time and utilize the entirety of max power. But you also want to make sure he doesn't have time to tag, but you also make sure your strong characters don't have time to don't face him up. So if I put Cell out there, yes, Cell can beat him in a 1v1. I'm very confident in that. But then that means Cell takes, an ult or 2v2s, and now he's at half health HP or 1 bar left and going into Kid Buu or Evil Buu after that, which is very problematic. So it's a problem. This is a problem.
So
Totally.
either hope he's benched that week, he does, or he's basically dead, or he runs out of max power mode before anything
Yeah.
happens.
Yeah, literally. That's you have to hope. You have to have someone to tank the bullet, essentially.
Yeah, he seems to always find a way to pop off something, because even if he uses it on his savior on a Kamehameha, he fully charges it, so it's the same damage as an ult.
Yeah,
So
he's still
it's
doing
always...
13, 14k, right? No question asked about that.
Doesn't this man loves doing his grab into it, but he just charges a little bit too much, so it just doesn't hit. But hey, we did see a spectacle last season in the cinnamon match versus Buujins. We got to see a Majin Buu ult from far away. That was a spectacle.
True, yeah, that was beautiful. It was very nice.
And
Yeah, I mean, the explosive waves have always been a very, visually appealing attack. So, the ult ones, such as Perfect Barrier and, Boo's Anger and Angry Explosion and stuff like that,
yeah,
they just have all that extra love into them.
and
Yes.
and then you know what's weird? He's not saying his B2s are bad, they're not, but this man primarily known for having his candy. He doesn't have chocolate bean.
Yeah, certainly is a
That's quite
strange
odd.
one.
But the B2s he has certainly aren't bad, so it's not like you would change them out for chocolate bean right away.
Yeah,
Oh,
he
yeah,
he used all that he used in the show, so his
Yeah.
moveset's not wrong, it's just strange that chocolate beam is not used when that's kind of,
His thing.
it's made. It's what he created. His unique ability, being able to turn things into other things. Besides Ash, which is all he does now.
He's too angry.
Yes.
But yeah, I think we basically just said everything we needed to say about Majin Buu. So you guys want to move on to the character I know is DoorGuard's favorite?
Yeah, Master Throw, OP. Let's do it.
You mean the Master List?
No. Master Throw,
Master List?
Uh,
I'm confused.
Let's do it.
Alright, here we got the man, the myth, the legend, the man who used to have the hair, spoke with each. And
Hope.
as you can see there, he had a great mullet. But actually he does have some pros. He's a great B1, strong grab, and he is right now the only Majin character on the Buujins. And basically what's stopping them from just being Boos.
Essentially, yeah.
For his cons, he's inconsistent, low damage, rush focused, not even a Boo character. And just paint him pink.
Yeah, paint him pink. That's all you have to do.
He's a Boo character.
He's got some blue suede shoes, so he's got some style.
Yeah.
But,
a little modest, but make him pink.
But DoorGuard, how do you feel about the main man here, the boy you had to pick up 12 reach?
Well, I had a lot of hope at first, but his inability to ever kill anybody is very degrading. I can see why Bobbity finished him off after his mission, because he probably even didn't do that right. He does what he needs to do, but he is certainly a frustrating character. I'd say, he's just limited in his toolkit. I think Donut feels the same way when looking at 19 Super 17. You were when looking at Zangaya and Turles. It's just, he has stuff he can do, and he certainly isn't like bad and unusable, but it seems like it takes so much more to get him to do something than it does for other characters.
Yeah.
And, it's not the worst. Having a 3-bar rush is not abnormal, but doing 6k leaves a little to be desired. Having a 4-bar charge that does 8k is fine, but it seems like Berserker Clash is a lower on the priority list. It loses to beams, where other ping style attacks sometimes beat beams, so it's like weird in that aspect. And while Majin Buu's Resurrection's a cool ult and all, rush ults are always like super awesome with how much they put into it. He's yet to hit one. And that's just kind of the issue with the rush attacks in general. They seem so difficult, and the fact he can only fire one Ki Blast makes it the most common combo, which is Ki Blast into ult, which allows you to, kind of stuns them, knocks them back, or they have to deflect the Ki Blast and kind of leaves them open for a split second. He struggles a lot with that because he doesn't have. That's not as good of an option. It's there at least, but it's a weird one. Though he has a lot of love. It's just unfortunate how like they gave him all these cool and unique animations, but because he's so bulky, he has to attack slow. It also means he's a really big target, so like every B2 hits him. And being that even though in the show he like shot a laser, they didn't give him one. They just gave him a tackle attack and then some rushes. Means he's full-on grappler. He's about as grappler as you can be for this game, and not having that versatility of being able to do something from far away can lead to a little bit of issues. Though having the ability, he has pump up, minions latent energy, give himself some defense and some melee, as well as I forget the name of the other one, but basically it just gives him power body. So he has ways to still get in and fight. He certainly has tools, but he's one of those characters that's basically forced into a niche based on what he has. So if you don't have the ability to run that niche, it can be very, very difficult and interesting to try to make work.
Yeah, sure.
We got two things to say. One, where's Costume 2 Spopovich where he has the hair from the World Tournament, man? Why does it just have to be the boots? Also, he hasn't gone against a Videl yet. That's probably why he's just not as mad. He's not as angry.
Well, to be fair, he did actually beat both Super 17 and 19 quite handily. So
Yeah.
there's some promise.
Yeah, and just going off of that, Donut, as an outsider, how do you feel about Spopovich?
Scared in some regards and not scared at all in others, right? Now, I'm gonna put like 17 or Cell or 16 in front of this person. I'm gonna take my boy every time, right? But I'm looking at, well, 19 has to go somewhere. Super 17 to go to the bench maybe. And then we have FA. And I think Spopovich will cause a sort of problem for that. Characters who can get power body and just melee over someone is very problematic for some of my lineup, right? Especially on 19. So that does cause me some hesitancy on where to put them, because I don't think Spopovich is pigeonholed into the first spot at all. I think he can be very all over the place in regards to the lineup. So I think we can do a little bit of chess game to that. So that's a little bit of hesitancy. I think he has potential to be a 35k character, but I don't see him getting that 40k average. Not at this point in time.
Yeah, he's gonna have his struggles, especially and while there's not really a reason to talk about it, there was free agent stuff going on not too long ago, so there is that in contention. Depending on who is picked up, he will obviously also have a hard time because he has to deal with whoever that is.
Yes.
So
We certainly know who that is.
Yeah, we know who that is.
yeah, but he's not technically on the team in terms of what the team represents. So
Yeah. So we won't say anything.
Yeah.
But we just gotta paint him pink and then put an M on his forehead and then it's team.
Sure, and he's fine. That's how I do it.
But going off of that, kind of feel a little bit of a nerve wracking for Spopovich, but you guys want to just move on to the master list?
it don't matter to me.
Let's do it.
All right, here's the master list. We got the peanut as the open spot, and don't
Hell
worry,
yeah.
don't worry. Dried raisin is actually not correct. He's just a dried old peanut. But looking at the locked characters here, we got actually 2 characters on Royals, which Deborah and Majin Vegeta. And from what I remember, you guys actually did have Majin Vegeta for like 1 or 2 tests, and then got taken away from you because too OP.
No. We had him for about 2.5 minutes while staff did tests.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah.
Oh, and then we got the boy, the myth, the legend, who was taken away, Majub on Resurrected Warriors.
Yes.
May his build rest in peace.
Yeah, I think all these characters, funny enough, there are ways to trade to get these characters. It's just not applicable this season with how things have transpired. There were all kinds of stuff that have happened and teams changing and this and that, and blah, blah, blah. So unable to fully, get things settled to go for these characters. But I mean, Majin Vegeta is almost never going to be dropped by Royals for
I
sure.
highly doubt it. Yeah.
Deborah might be. And
Deborah
Well, I can
is
see. I can see.
Deborah. If we do a good 3-way trade, and Maju, technically we can just trade Majin Buu straight up for him. So
Yeah, that'd be fine.
but seeing as how they only got him for this first season, I don't know if that'll be something they're even looking at or whatnot.
Depends on. I think a lot will depend on how he does this season, or how both do this season. See, that's even a possibility in their eyes, right? So.
We'll say one thing on this master list: Deborah is technically the only one on the master list that even mostly resembles a Buu, because he's pink and has a Majin, but the rest are just all Majin.
Yeah, this is an expanded list due to being Majins. Otherwise, it would just be the split forms of, it used to be Oob and Majub, as well as Super Buu, Bootinks, and Buuhan. So it's one of those, like, that's how it used to be. So, I will give a little credit to Bobbity. He is not necessarily the worst character, but he's a very niche character, just like Spopovich, being that he basically can only function off B2 damage. He has the literal lowest melee damage in the game.
He has some good rush blast, but
we had to mod Hercule to have knockback on his hits so that he could actually like stun people. It did more damage than Bobbity. Yeah, Bobbity's strengths are that he has some higher damage than normal rush blast, though not enough to get him.
Ult.
Yeah, and his
beam
ult
ult's
does a ton of damage.
That-
Too bad nothing else really helps him there. His grab powers up his ult, but that's very inconsistent, as
also,
we've seen all season.
Ult helps.
Yes, Spopovich ult helps as well, but running both is suicide. Also, having Spopovich hit his ult suicide. There's also just the fact that he's a very, very heavy rush B2 focus characters, in both of his B2s being that, and his B1s being like a barrier and a stun also don't help him. Basically, like, he has a lot of tools, but they don't really combo with each other in any way. So is he a usable character? For sure, but he requires so much like wide variety Pataras that he just felt like a little too much. Especially with being the 5th character, we had less slots available in terms of what we could put on guys. So we didn't have anything to really be able to throw on him, and he is certainly a character that requires specific stuff. So just kind of how it goes when you are messing with these off-team characters, is sometimes it's due to them being, albeit not bad characters, just strange. Like, they have their strange things.
Yeah.
There's one thing is that without Bobbity, this team wouldn't exist.
True. This is true.
Not really. Technically,
Kinda.
it was his dad / clone, whichever canon you go by, Bibity, that made them all. So
Bibity.
while
I
he
think,
runs the arc, he's not the originator of all this. He's
True,
not
true.
the Majin.
Spopovich and Majin Vegeta wouldn't be in this
Incorrect.
master list.
We just saw a picture of that, and Vegeta would always hit Super Saiyan 2 at some point, and that's what Majin was a
Vegeta
powered up
basically-
version of. You just wouldn't know because Super Saiyan 2 has nothing unique about it besides being called 2.
You were saying something, don't it?
Yeah. Out of these locked characters, which one would you most like to have on your team?
Obviously, I think any team would like to have Majin Vegeta due to the fact that he runs with absolutely everything. But Deborah is very similar, and he has After Image Strike. So arguably,
Yeah, that's really good.
Deborah is
That's
a
really
better character. Also, his ult albeit not a great ult, is better than Majin Vegeta ults. Majin Vegeta's is a suicide ult, where Deborah's is a rush. So, they're both kind of rough to utilize because you can't just use them per se. They require lots of setup, but his is at least has a higher opportunity, where Majin Vegeta will only use it when he's low health for good reason.
Sure.
Um, But they both have like really good B2s as well, being they both have like big orb attack, and they both have, well, Vegeta also has a beam. Deborah has the flame shower breath, which is just obviously very good. We've had Maju. He was on the team last season. That's why he was on the title card. Very strong character. Has his 2-bar spam volley that he just loves to use in Chocolate Beam. Also unfortunate. Basically, all these characters besides Bobbity have some of the worst ults. Majub's ult's
Yeah.
also extremely rough to
It-
use.
it's
That lightning,
basically
yeah. Oof.
it's basically Genocide Blast on steroids.
Yeah.
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 That,
It's
that
not good.
also
It's not
can't be that also can't be used at a certain range, according to a video I watched. Because then it'll just hit the
Yeah,
top.
it actually does. No, it doesn't hit the top as a max range. It literally fades out after a certain distance, so it
Yeah.
doesn't shoot as far as you'd think. So, yeah, there's some interesting issues in their
But
ults. But to be fair, we have Kid Buu ult, Majin Buu ult, Evil Buu ult. Those three,
Yeah.
2 explosive waves, and a giant orb ult. That's good enough. I think that
Yeah, you
that
can't
works just
complain
fine.
much, right? Yeah,
And we can
pretty
always
good.
go Buu tanks with the Super Kamehameha, and that's been used in many a time. That's done very much good as well.
And then if you guys just do end up getting Maju back, you just put him mostly on the exact same thing that he was. Just make him the all-arounder that he was feared to be. Basically your best character last season.
Yeah, that's an idea, but there's always like a ton of things that can be done with any character, to be fair.
Always new things to explore, new things to do.
He was an all-rounder before, so he could stick with that. I don't know. There's a lot of ways every character can be built, so there's no like it has to be this way or it has to be that way. It's just kind of however they fit. That's what every team's been discovering this off season, trying to get their squads to fit. So
Yeah.
it's interesting for sure.
But with that, we basically reached the end of our today. So this was Capsule Cast Teams with Buujins. I'm your host Destiny.
I'm Donut.
Nah, man, you gotta do the full spiel. Start over. Sell your product.
Thought about
Donut can do
Alright.
it too.
it. Sure.
Don't you do it?
So last thing, you want anything you want to shout out for your team?
Yeah, Buujin's always looking for new members. We're very active. I am, as many know, I run Capsule Cast normally. I'm a commentator now. I am
Yeah, congrats.
coach, a tester. I'm all over the place. So we are very active, and I'm a very active coach. So if you are wanting
Yes.
to talk, as they do in the spiel, you'll find out how.
Also, if you just need any help on builds, DoorGuard's your man.
Yeah. So if you guys want to check out the links below, there'll be a link to Discord as well as Twitter, I believe. So you can kind of look and see what we're doing there and communicate with the community. We're very open and happy to have you around. Alright, now you can do your spiel, Destiny.
Alright, this was Capsule Cast Teams with Buujins. I'm Destiny,
I'm Donut.
And I'm DoorGuard.
and we'll see you all next time.
See ya.